Putting is probably the most important thing in disc golf. As of recently, from that circle's edge to about 40-45 feet, I've been incredibly confident. In fact, I look forward to making putts from there. And that's because over the last 2 months, I've developed a step putt that I'm extremely confident with. And today I'm going to teach you guys how I step putt and the thought process that I go through in order to make the big putts that I do. So you'll see some people not step putt from outside the circle. You'll see them just putt. You'll see some people jump putt, like Kevin Jones. Or you'll see people like Chris Dickerson and myself and some other people just do a nice little step. It's like a little hop where you're just almost walking towards the basket, taking a step. And the confidence that I've gained over the last couple months doing this has been crazy. I was never a step putter before. I was always a super floaty putter from really far out. I would let it go on Annie and just putt. And then about 2 months ago, before I went to DDO, maybe a little longer, I was feeling extremely unconfident in my putt. And so I changed it right before that DDO tournament. And I started working on a new stroke as well as a new jump putt stroke. And like I said earlier, I'm going to teach you all that today, so let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so obviously in order to jump putt, you have to be outside the circle, right? And if the circle isn't marked, you can always walk it off, or if you're in a tournament situation or just in a casual round, you can ask the other people on your card if you're out. And if they agree, yes, you are out, then you are allowed to jump putt. Now, obviously, the biggest rule about outside the circle putting and jump putting is that you have to make sure that the disc leaves your hand before your other foot touches the ground. There was a controversial video of this a couple of months ago. I forgot what the kid's name was, where his step putt was very low to the ground. And a lot of people thought that he stepped before he released the disc. And so intentionally for me, I try and do a big, it's still a sweeping forward, but it's not too close to the ground. I try and make sure that I get my foot up and then step towards the basket and make it in. So the way that I step putt is different from some, but also some people it may be similar to. For me, I like to get my balance before I step putt. So I pick my foot up and I just let it float here. So if you want to do a little bit of a drill, pick your foot up and float here and get comfortable balancing on this leg, because you're going to stand on it for a little bit as you putt. So you're almost going to feel like a flamingo as you step up and get this balance, okay? Now for me, I changed my putt completely because I felt like there was too much motion in it, which added too much variable. And that variable, when you're not focused, can cause for you to miss left and right. If you guys notice my putts now, I generally miss high or low. So I've taken out that horizontal axis of missing probably on 99% of my putts, because I'm going up, down, up. There's nothing else. When before my putt was very like this and I would rotate my wrist to get spin, but now it's more just vertical. Now the most important part of putting, in my opinion, is your aim point. Now, to a lot of you, that may raise questions like, what do you mean aim point? Aren't you just aiming at the center of the basket? And to that, my answer is hard no. I'm not just looking at the basket. In fact, I never look at the middle of the basket. I base my putt and my aim point off of the trajectory that I know my disc takes. So what I want you guys to do, if you want to practice learning how to jump putt and putt in general, is just throw your disc as it's comfortable, okay? So throw it as it's comfortable, see where it flies, and then from that will help you figure out your aim point. If a comfortable putt for you hyzers left, or if a comfortable putt for you goes dead straight, then you're going to be looking at different areas. If a comfortable putt for you hyzers to the left a little bit, then you might aim at the right side of the basket. For me, a comfortable putt pans a little bit to the right because I like using understable putters. So when I putt, and I'm not jump putting here, when I putt, I aim at the left side of the basket. And you guys can see it ended on the right side of the basket. So for me, I know that my comfortable stroke goes a little bit to the right. So you need to just putt at a tree or putt at the basket, whatever, and see where your miss is and then change your aim point. Now, when it comes to my jump putt or my step putt, whichever you end up doing, my aim point is always the top right side of the band. Now, you might be wondering why, like that doesn't make any sense. Well, for the same reason that I practiced step putting and I would pay attention to the flight of my disc, and I realized that it would push straight and then crash a little bit left at the end. And so I aim at that band right there and crashes right on the right side of the chains almost every time. Now, I could scoot my aim point in a little bit, but I actually don't mind hitting the right side chains with a hyzer because it generally sticks in the basket. Now, as we scoot further back to say here, what happens to my aim point? Does it stay the same? Am I throwing harder? What am I doing? Because a lot of times, if you think about it, when you get further back, it's very easy to think, okay, I have to throw this disc a lot harder in order to get it to the basket. But in my opinion, you don't have to throw it harder to get to the basket. Is that an option? Yes. But when you miss, what's gonna happen? Your disc is gonna go a lot farther. And if you'll watch my step putts and videos and things like that, if I miss, generally I'm within 10 feet of the basket, even if I'm jump putting from 55 feet away. Now, the reason that is because I'm still coming in on that same soft trajectory into the basket. And that's because I'm not throwing it any harder, I'm changing my aim point. One of my favorite comparisons to this is if you think about someone in the military. Okay, so let's say a sniper who is shooting the same caliber round. Is that bullet going any faster? No, it's going the exact same speed. But if their target is further away, what do? They adjust. They aim up and they aim over, depending on the wind and all that kind of stuff. So for me with my jump putts, literally sometimes I will look at a tree in the background of the basket to figure out my aim point of my height. Now I know my distance and I know how hard I need to throw it, but my aim point is no longer attached to the basket. Sometimes my aim point will be right here. Sometimes my aim point is all the way up here if I'm really far away. And I look at that, I know the distance that I am to the basket, I look at that and I do my putt, okay? And again, what that does is that really prevents me from getting too far away from the basket. So now I've got 5 putters and we're gonna step back and we are going to go through our putting motion, okay? Now again, some drills for you guys as you practice if you want to have a similar jump putt to mine is you'll see a lot of pros do this too. They tuck in this left arm. I don't know why, I think it helps with balance or something. Try out tucking in this left arm, okay? So for me, I hold my disc flat at the basket, not covering myself like Calvin does, but I put the bottom of the disc at the basket, I pull this elbow up, and I balance on one leg. People in tournaments have been like, are you balancing on one leg? It's like, yep, I'm balancing on one leg. Because that helps me get used to what I'm about to do. I don't want there to be too many motions, too much rocking, or anything like that involved. I want there to be as little motion as possible. So for me, I find my aim point, I pick my foot up, and I exhale with a nice smooth breath to help me pace towards the basket. A little short, barely though, okay? So again, same thing. That's short too. Come on, Michael. But as you guys can see, I'm hitting the cage every time. I am in that vertical area that I want to be in. That one is in. Wasn't sure about that one. So we come back again. We pick a similar aim point, maybe a little bit higher. Pick up that foot. Oh, almost got that one. Again, hit the basket. That one's in. So it's a consistent motion for me and a consistent routine of pulling this hand up, pulling up my elbow, balancing on this foot, and then almost leaning forward as I tuck in and shooting it forward. So again, some drills that I want you guys to do if you're going to be out in your backyard practicing this is first, just putting and watching what the disc does. Figure out what the natural flight of your comfortable disc in your hand is. Once you do that, then you're gonna figure out your aim point. Again, like I said, for me, with my jump putts, it's the top right of the basket. With my regular putts, it's the left side because it's a different putting stroke. So I find that aim point on the right side of the basket, I breathe in, I pick up my foot, and I lean forward as I tuck in the disc into my stomach. That one's short. Oh, that was so close. Now again, these are probably from 45, maybe a little more right here. That one's in. Now that one I gave a little bit more of a short breath, which I would encourage you not to do. I would encourage you to find a breath that paces with your stroke. So normally mine's shorter like this, or mine's longer and smoother. And that was on line, it was just a little bit low. So again, maybe adjusting my aim point a little. Yep. So that I looked at a bush behind the basket in the background that was tall. I was not even looking at the basket. I found my aim point. I knew how my stroke felt. I'm gonna find a different aim point higher here. That one's in too. Literally, I'm not looking at the basket. I'm looking at a bush 600 feet in the background. So just to show you guys what I was looking at, here's the basket. All the way back here is a bush. You can see it right there. That was my aim point on those putts. I really hope that this video helped you guys and encouraged you to problem solve when it comes to disc golf and your form and your shots and all that kind of stuff. Most important stuff when it comes to jump putts or step putts for me is obviously making sure that the disc is coming out of your hand before your foot touches, otherwise you're gonna get a foot fault. Number two, not going too far past the basket. And so that's why I don't throw it harder. That's why I change my aim point to be higher and more to the right as I become more in tune with how my disc flies. I've been really enjoying jump putting. You guys have been seeing me do so well at it in videos and at the Creators Cup and everything. Really hope that this video helped you guys out. Comment down below if it does, and I'll see you on the next one.